Alright, so welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I basically give out a lot of information for OFM. I'm not, I do have a group, I do have all that stuff. However, I'm not like all those other cool sellers that are gonna gatekeep a bunch of information from you. I actually do give out a lot of value on the YouTube channel, so if you are looking for that, make sure to check out my other videos as well. But anyway, this video is about how I went from $0 to 100k months with OFM, right, at 19. I am 20 this year, but I'm 19 at the moment. I do run a six-figure month agency. So who am I? I'm the owner of Earth and Penthouse. It's a free group. I would do also a private group. The Discord has nearly 30k members. Telegram has 5k. I've got a free chat with nearly 2k members now on Telegram as well. And yeah, it's been a group for quite a while now, around a year and a half, and it's been very good so far. That's kind of where I'm most active. That's where I give out, even more information. That's where, you can network with me or other agency owners, all that stuff, right? But yeah, now before I talk about how I started and all that stuff, I'm going to talk about kind of what I did before, how I got to OFM. And yeah, so when I was around 17, maybe even 16, like turning 17, I was in college. I don't know what's called in the UK, but I mean in the US, sorry, but in the UK it's called UK college. And I was in my first year of college doing engineering. I was failing very badly. Like I knew I was going to fail. I kind of just stopped caring about it and just thought, I'll just try something online. I'll just try something else. So I started with reselling, like just reselling shoes, clothes, all that stuff. And I didn't make much from it. I made maybe like 3k a month, maybe even 2k a month. The best month probably was like 4k a month, right? And I kind of knew like, what's the point of me getting a job that's going to pay me half the amount I'm making? And, this is a lot better. I have a lot more freedom with my time. I don't have to wake up at a certain time. I don't have to go back home at a certain time, all that stuff, right? So I kind of just knew straight away that there's no point in me really focusing on college. Now, towards the end of the year, I dropped out. Like, basically, when the first year of college ended, I decided not to go back to the second year. I just dropped out. And that's kind of when reselling stopped working for me. So I was doing reselling. I was about to drop out, but then it started to slow down. But I just said I'm gonna drop out anyway because, you know, I knew just getting a job is not what I want to do. So I did that, but reselling didn't work. So I found something new. I saw e-com or dropshipping. I was doing organic dropshipping, like TikTok marketing, all that stuff, IG as well. And it did pretty good. I did a few months where I made a good amount of money, but on average, I wasn't making that much more compared to reselling. Even though I was making a good amount of money for my age, I was like, I always kind of knew in the back of my head, even though I didn't admit to it, I always knew in the back of my head that I didn't really enjoy dropshipping and it wasn't really for me. Even though this is not really correct, the way I always looked at dropshipping, especially organic, was it's kind of 50-50, even if you are good at finding products or whatever, um, it's sort of based on luck. Like you're not always gonna get a video that goes viral on a random product and make thousands, right? So I kind of noticed like each month, one month I'd make a lot more than I would another month, and I kind of just knew that it's not for me. I want a more business where I can actually scale it and see it go up, 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 rather than one month 10k, the next month 3. You know what I mean? So that's basically what I did. I kind of started looking into more other options of, an actual business that I can have rather than just promoting a Chinese toy on TikTok. Um, and that's where I basically had a friend that did OFM. He was already doing OFM. He wasn't making much from it, but he was doing it. He started like a few weeks before he told me about it. And I decided to give it myself a try. Now, that's basically how I started, just from my friend literally telling me. I instantly thought it sounds pretty good. It is similar to SMA, running an actual agency, running an actual business. And that's kind of what I was looking for. So I was like, you know what? I've not really heard of this. It sounds like it's actually good. I might as well give it a try. The mistakes I made with this at the very start is something that I think a lot of people would agree on if you have experience already with FM. It's not having the right network or not even having information at all. Now, even though this is coming from me, and I own a group, so I'm gonna, it sounds a bit stupid coming from me. A lot of people will be like, oh, he's trying to sell you something, you know, whatever you want to believe. But that is a very big mistake I think I did. It wasted a lot of time. You know, time is very important, and it wasted a lot of time for me because when I first started, I kind of just started based off of a few YouTube videos and what my friend told me. So I kind of guessed throughout the way of how it works. Now, if I had the right information, or even if I had just network where I actually speak to people, you know, see what they do, see if I'm doing the right stuff, all that stuff, you know, I'd, I wouldn't be wasting as much time pretty much. I'd be getting a lot more things done correctly. Um, but other than that, you know, it didn't go too bad for me. I did actually outreach straight away. I made an agency IG and a website, and I got myself a model. Now, outreach back then compared to now, so one thing I want to talk about as well before I carry on is back then, you know, I signed a model based off my agency Instagram. I just DM'd it on my agency Instagram, and that worked. That doesn't work anymore. I do talk about this on different videos, like in the free guide. Now, what works now? There's a lot of things. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but one of the things is like a personal Instagram account or a model Instagram account. That's what I recommend to do now. I think that works a lot better rather than like outreaching off of an agency page. If you do that, you most likely won't get the best results from that. But that's what I did back then. That's what worked back then for me. So that's sort of what I did, right? Now I signed my first model after literally like I'd say around a week of outreaching. I signed my first model. After my first full month, I made 5k. Around 5k. It was like 7 or 8, something like that. But then she left, so she did pay me, but she said, "I don't want to continue with anymore." Blah blah. Thank you though, and yeah. So my first, I'd say, second. It's like my first full month, so it's sort of like my second month. I made around 5k, maybe like 3 or 4k profit. In total, it was around 8k, like 7k, something like that, right? But yeah, so after that, you know, I didn't. It was good, but obviously back then I feel like it was a lot easier to kind of just get a model just straight away, just from like a random agency Instagram and just outreach. So back then, that wasn't too bad, but yeah. So after she left me, I went back to outreach. I did that sign model again very quickly. I kind of got lucky with it. I can't really say what happened on the YouTube video, but I got a model very quickly. And I basically focused, you know, I kind of knew that the model that I first had, I didn't really speak to her a lot, I didn't really communicate with her a lot. So I kind of, that's one thing that I was making mistakes with as well. So I kind of focused on improving client satisfaction. So basically, of course, that also comes back to, you know, bringing better results. But I also did focus a lot on actually communicating with them, letting them know what's happening, letting them know what we're working on, what we're wanting to add to the marketing, what we wanted to add to OF, you know, content ideas we have, you know, all that stuff, right? So that's kind of what we did. Now we did better marketing strategies, better chatting, all that stuff. So what we did with this model was something that no one really does, even to this day. Back then, I feel like me and my business partner were probably the only people doing that. Of course, there are people doing it, but no one really spoke about it in the FM space. Even to this day, no one really speaks about like out of the box ideas like this. Even though this doesn't work as good as it used to back then. But we were basically doing Omegle videos, so we would promote Omegle videos. We would promote our model going on Omegle, and you know, playing with herself with other men, right? And we promote that on like Reddit, Twitter, pretty much those two websites, like mainly, and some other sites as well. So that's pretty much what we did. It was a very good strategy. Like I said, no one really does that. No one really did it back then, especially. So that kind of did make us a lot of money because basically a lot of people subscribe. You know, obviously it was kind of creative ideas, so not, you know, it's not like a everyday thing that you see people do, or you see OF models do. Sorry. So you know, a lot of people did subscribe to basically either see the full video of what she does, or they'd subscribe to have their own like Omegle video call with her, right? So a lot of people did subscribe for that reason, and then they'd pay even more to get on a call with her, or to watch videos, or to, you know, get other content, right? So with this model, that's basically what we kind of focused on. We didn't actually even do TikTok or IG. Not because I wasn't good at it. I was actually very good at digital marketing. However, she wasn't very good at making the content for it. So we kind of just said, you know what, let's just wait for now, focus on something else. So I did that. Now with these two things, and the chatting, which was not too bad at that back then. However, we could have, improved it a lot. We were on around 10k within the first like 2 or 3 weeks, so we kind of, knew that it was doing a lot better. Of course, the model was a lot more happier. She quit her job within the first like months, stuff like that. So it was doing good. Now scaling what works. So what I mean by this is we basically just scaled what worked, right? We hired a team. We had a bigger team for Reddit. We were posting these videos or just other content on Reddit because we kind of knew that this model works on Reddit. So we hired a bigger team to basically handle Reddit accounts for us. We were posting on, a lot of Reddit subreddits. Whether it's the Amigo content or just different content. The model herself worked well on Reddit, so that's what we did. And obviously Twitter, we kind of just joined more retweet groups, stuff like that, and hired a staff member for Twitter too. Now at this point, maybe like 2 months later down the line, we started signing more models. The model was on like around 20k a month, something like that. At this point, we were still doing just Twitter and Reddit, just kind of scaling that. So we were like, you know what? Like I said before, she's not doing the best on IG or TikTok. Let's just focus on what's working, outsource it a little bit, and then sign more models. So that's what we did. We signed like 2 more models within the same week. So we had 3 models now. Now new marketing. This is where these 2 new models actually did very well on TikTok and IG. One model got 2 million views within the first 2 days of signing with us. So that gave a very quick boost to her revenue basically. She was brand new to OF and she made like nearly 10k with the first week pretty much. So that was a very good sign. The other one also doing good. So we basically focused on that, and we also implemented Twitter and Reddit to those other 2 models also. We already had a team, of course, ready to do that for us. So it was going very well, and of course, like I mentioned, Chang was good, but it wasn't the best. Could have been a lot better. So we improved our Chang. My partner basically focused on basically training a proper team to chat for us. Have actual staff members, not just random people that we can find. We basically trained them properly, made sure they actually know what to do. We had 24/7 chatting, and from there, we were on around, I'd say, each model was around 20 to 40k a month. So one that did very well on TikTok and IG was on 40k a month. The first girl that I mentioned was on Omegle, kind of stayed around 20-25k a month for, I'd say, maybe like 3 or 4 months. We didn't really improve it much from there. We kind of just outsourced it and let it stay at that point. And the other one was also around 25k a month, maybe 30 on like a good month, right? So yeah, from there, we were doing pretty well. We were reaching those 100k a month marks after like 5 or 6 months of starting OFM. But that's kind of where things went wrong. One model actually got banned on OF, the one that was making 40k a month, because we noticed that our chatters weren't, basically doing the right things. They kind of broke the OF rules or TOS to sell sometimes. So the main model that was making the most got banned. And from there, she kind of just got very mad. She left us. She, obviously it's understandable. It's a big mistake that we learned from, but yeah. And from there, we kind of just kept those 2 models and thought, you know what, let's make sure we're actually prepared for things like that not to happen again. If we get more models, right? So we kept those 2 models. We were on around 50k a month, revenue for the agency. And obviously we had to fire our chairs. We had to, get new chairs again. But what we did differently here, we had a bigger team, right? And with a bigger team, I mean, we also had chat managers basically overviewing the actual chatters, seeing what they're doing wrong. So we basically hired a friend of ours who we knew was good at chatting, paying him a few thousand a month, like 2,000 a month, to basically overview the chatting and tell us what's wrong, tell us what the chats are doing wrong. Basically making sure they don't mess up again, right? So, obviously this guy was not cheap. We were paying him a decent amount a month. However, to kind of ensure that safety and ensure that the models don't leave for mistakes like that again, is definitely well worth it. And that's what we did. So now we have like a manager basically viewing our whole operation to make sure, mistakes like that don't happen. Um, and other than that, we basically then decided to get another model. We were like, okay, I think we're ready to, start scaling a bit more, signing more models. So we actually bought a model rather than, outreaching. We actually bought a model from a marketplace. If you're in the OFM scene, you probably know on Telegram there's a lot of marketplaces. If you don't, that's the thing. You can buy like an OF creator and potentially work with her under a contract. If obviously, you're both happy or like the model's happy. So we bought a model. She was actually very, very hard working. We put her on Twitter and Reddit. She wasn't very, once again, she wasn't the best with TikTok. She didn't, it's not that she wasn't good with making them, but she didn't spend much time into it. So we basically put on Twitter and Reddit, and first month we made around 15k. And we basically hired another few more staff members to handle more Twitter accounts for her, because we basically found a new strategy for Twitter to do with AI DMing. So we hired a few staff members to handle that for us. And yeah, from there we pretty much, kind of copy pasted, the same strategies for a few models, right? Of course, compared to back then and now, I say back then as that, once we reached the 100k month mark, it wasn't very long ago from now. However, compared to back then from now, marketing, all that stuff is different. But yeah, we kind of just copy pasted what worked back then for each model onto it, like, two more models. And that's kind of where when we reached the 100k month mark for the agency. And we're still scaling, obviously. There's always ups and downs in business. We've had models leave, we've had issues, we've had models sometimes earnings drop. All these things can happen in the business. It's not always going to be uphill, always going to be perfect. There are going to be issues, of course, but we're still scaling, still working on improving everything we can. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at now. 6-figure month agency, and still scaling. Hopefully gonna hit around 300k a month soon. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. Hopefully that gave you some information on kind of what the process was like. If you're already doing 5 figures a month and you're kind of stuck, my biggest tip to you is just kind of scale what works. Get a bigger team. Honestly, if I didn't get a bigger team, I would have probably been stuck at like 50k a month still to this day. You can't handle a 6-figure agency operation by yourself, right? Like, it's literally not possible. Even if you have 2 VAs, it's just not possible. Like, you need a big team to handle things for you. You're not going to be awake 24/7. You're not going to be able to get everything done, in 24 hours, right? You need a team to be able to handle it for you. So that's my biggest tip to anyone wanting to actually scale to high 5 figures or 6 figures. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Check the description, join my free group. I'll see you guys in the next one.